Matthew 5:28. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. This isn't gender specific. Let's be real. I mean, this goes for both genders, all right? And this isn't just a moral idea, okay? Like sin is sin because it has a real effect. Our thoughts grow real neural connections in our brains. And all sins physically change our brains, and they have consequences. 7 in 10 men have used porn in the last month. That's including in the church, okay? It's an issue. And women are half that rate. And even the majority of pastors use porn. Porn makes more money than all the national sports leagues combined, and it makes up most of the internet's total usage. It's a massive, massive issue that I think is pretty much unaddressed in the church for the most part.
And dare we even bring up the child pornography, which is...
I'll get to that too. Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I'm glad you're aware of it too, but it's an issue. Porn disrupts our cycle of motivation and rewards, which affects our spouses, family, workplace, and community. It affects everybody around us when our brains are changing. It causes brain damage by altering the dopamine system that affects and regulates our motivation and rewards. This leads to symptoms of anxiety, depression, and attention disorders. The modern internet has also created a sudden epidemic of erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation. So there are physical changes going on because there are mental changes going on, right? Depression, anxiety, inattention, and literal sexual dysfunction. And the sex workers themselves have a far higher rate of suicide, depression, and PTSD. So it's not good for anybody, anywhere, at all, ever. It's Satan's work, and it's the flesh nature. You know, it's like our flesh has a purpose. The purpose is to court a wife, and for a man, it's court a wife and want to stay with her and want to constantly have a desire for her. But what Satan does is he makes us think it's okay to just spread that everywhere, and it's not okay. And we're going to get to the consequences of that as we move forward too. Even the girls showing skin on the internet, you know, just like, you know, a little bit of less clothes on, you know, and the men that looking at that, you know, even at like a, what we'd say is like a not so severe level, that's changing the brain, right? It's creating a dopamine reward system, right? And it's creating a sense of being noticed, right? And it's addictive. It's a short-term, fleshly gratification with no long-term benefits, but with bad long-term consequences. And like all addictions, the behavior becomes a higher priority than real people and real relationships that matter. This harms marriages by hurting partners, decreasing the seeking of a partner, and maintaining secrets. Porn is a big factor in many divorces, and this all influences and affects the children. So the church needs to step up here. I'm going to give 4 strategies to quit porn. 1, educate yourself, learn the dangers and learn your triggers. 2, porn blockers. 3, establish an accountability partner. Like he said, this isn't talked about enough. You need an accountability partner, a friend to talk to about it. There needs to be open lines of communication with other people about this. And we make regular check-ins with that person. Pray and be holy. Draw from God's strength. All right? Overcoming pornography is doable. I've done it. We all need to do it if we're into it. And again, 7 in 10 men are doing this, even in the church. That statistics like the church isn't actually doing a better job of this because, again, it's going under the radar. The majority of pastors are doing it so they're not talking about it. It's just flying under the radar. And it needs to be cut off. So as a final note, like you were saying, it often builds up to more extreme content. And so teen content is the #1 search term on the internet. And it does result in child pornography. A lot of times that's not, but it can be. Many children do become victims. And the U.S. is the #1 consumer of sex trafficking. The U.S. is the #1 consumer of sex trafficking. If that doesn't blow your mind, it is happening here, and it is happening more than anywhere else on the planet for all human history.
And that's why they don't want to close the border.
Sometimes these are kidnapped children being brought in, right? But other times they're also family members who are selling the use of their children's bodies. So it's both of those. And there are agencies that fight trafficking that we can and should donate to, things like the Tim Tebow Foundation, Operation Underground Railroad, and the Polaris Project.